is Monday. It's 2:30 and it is industry update time. I realize there's a lot of talented musicians in our organization. We got to do a battle of the bands at one point. So I may have to work on that. I realized that last week. But anyway, it is, man, we got 1 day left in January. We are a 12th of the way already through the new year. How are we feeling? Before we get into raw data, how are we feeling? That's to you, Sean.
Oh, I thought you were asking the general group.
No, you're my co-host here.
I think that certainly looking at numbers in our office, we are having a great January. People are actively out there buying. I know I have the good fortune of being married to a lender, and I know that mortgage applications are up considerably in the last 2 weeks. I just see that coming through. So there's still going to be buyers out there. Our challenge is going to remain inventory. Inventory is going to stay low. I think that's a place for dialogue with the general public right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's jump into this. Before we jump into the numbers, there's this crazy thing called Chat GDP. Oh, not that. This. So it's now on CNN. It's even saying real estate agents say they can't imagine working without Chat GDP. So I literally, Sean, I'm going to throw you under the bus for a second. I literally wrote a memo to all the Heart of Atlanta agents. It's probably going to come out in the next week or so. And Sean takes my beautifully crafted letter and throws it in Chat GDP, and artificial intelligence rewrote my entire letter for me. And I hate to admit it sounds better. But what are we using this for? Or what is it?
I think this is going to be a game changer, Brett. And
back up. What is it?
Okay, so Chat is it's an artificial intelligence system that can literally write. I've played with it a couple of times. You could take a description of a property for FMLS, and you can make it better, and it will rewrite.
Or just from the beginning.
Yeah, or from the beginning. If you have all the data. I was playing around with it, and I took a song that the Damages wrote and said, write this song better, and put it in, and it came out and wrote the whole song. I'm like, this is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I see agents using it for listing descriptions. I see agents using it for newsletter articles for their newsletters. I see
bios, marketing. I mean, copywriting is the one thing I see agents struggle with. They always want help with their copywriting, and this is a way you could plug in your data and go, write a bio for me.
Yeah, or a blog, or
yeah,
whatever. Right. So anyway, I think it's interesting to just kind of kick off with this. If you haven't looked into this Chat GPT, the website is openai.com, OPENAI.com. We've talked about it a couple of times on here, and it's really kind of just taken off, Sean. So I think it's kind of fun to talk about things like that on these calls.
One of the first things we can actually see the beginning of singularity happening as people. We are watching technology replace us in this moment.
Yeah, I was kind of offended at first. I was like, man, my letter, y'all rewrote my letter. And then I realized, well, it's still my words, but it was better crafted, I guess.
I did it kind of as just a test and a joke to send back to you. And then when I read it, I'm like, it was pretty good.
Yeah. So anyway,
if it makes you feel better, my song got better too.
There you go. All right. Jumping in. Fulton County, 558, slightly down from last week on active inventory. So what's interesting, Sean, is we started the year low, and then the second week of the month, the listings came on the market.
Yep.
And then we started to sell them. So it's kind of slowly come down a little bit, maybe, active inventory. The other thing is, if you look at active under contract, we started slow and we built all the way up through the month. And I'm doing this intentionally. Active pending contracts, 83, 153, 193, 230, 250. So what's happening is I believe the spring market is building. And why is this important? I think for two reasons. One is we haven't seen that market in the last 2-3 years because of the pandemic. It was just pedal to the metal. It stayed full speed ahead. And we weren't really tracking trends. Well, right now we're seeing a trend of a build-up market, which is actually normal. That's what we normally see, is a market that does this in the month of January. And I'm showing it to you in Fulton County right now. We'll get to some of the other counties. But if you go back and look, 147, 268, 134, 154, 170. So right now, these are the 7-day closing totals. If we go back to December, you're comparing 231, 288, 193, 275. We're definitely much slower on the closings right now. But if you look at I guess the right way to go back and explain this is lead measures and lag measures. Lead measures are numbers we're looking at going out the windshield of our car, and closings are lag measures. Basically, we look at in the rearview mirror that have already happened. So the leading measures that are telling us where we're going look really good.
Yep.
Build up, active under contract, build up, pending. I feel good about that market, and we're trending up. We run over to DeKalb County. Let me get over here to January. 175 at the beginning of the year went way up to 328, 330, 362, 349. It's holding its inventory here. Active under contract 27 to 45 to 56 to 62 to 100. Pending.
I think there's a couple of dynamics we see there. Like obviously from week 1 to week 2, you got a handful of those markets that houses that expired, relisted at the beginning of the year, but they did it on the Monday after the 2nd, right? They did it on the 3rd. And so that's why I think we see a big part of that jump. I'll tell you another narrative that we're going to need to be in dialogue with people about that I've heard 2 or 3 times. Absolutely accurate statement. Inventory has doubled in the Atlanta real estate market, right? And those are the headlines that we're seeing. And buyers are starting to go, hey, the house is going to start sitting. We're going to be able to negotiate more. Well, they doubled, and we're now at 2.4 months of inventory, which is still a serious seller's market.
Like
right?
we would have begged for that 10 years ago.
Right. Yeah. So like I think that's our job, is to put the perspective on what the national media is saying. It is an absolutely correct statement that there's twice as many houses on the market. We're still 3 months away from a balanced inventory. We're not even halfway to a balanced inventory. It is still going to be a seller's market, and listings are where we're going to win.
Yep. So active under contract, pending, same story, 55 up to 160, closing 76, 144, 86, 96, 90. So we're still off from where we were at the end of last year. And you can see it is considerably off in the month of January. We predicted that, we expected that. Yet once again, all the leading indicators say we're building into the spring market. Just to quickly run through some of these other counties. There's 348 active in Cobb, 216 pending right now. Same story, it built up. And then 105 closing the last 7 days, 122, 172, still off from where we were. And right. The same story. So ultimately, you can always come in here and click on your county, go to therealestatestats.com. But I think my summary, Sean, is, I'll just repeat it. We still have good inventory on the market. Be careful of the media headline, as Sean pointed out. But the leading indicators say our spring market is building, and that's a really positive, optimistic sign. And our lag indicators, or our closings, show that the volume of transactions is definitely off from what we've been experiencing, which we knew. That's what the slowdown or the shift looks like. But we're expecting it to really pick up in the next 2-3 months.
Yeah, it's expected seasonality.
Yeah. Anything else you'd add to that narrative?
I think you're right on it.
All right. hit me on this. So the number one opportunity for listings this market expert sees in 2023.
Yeah, expired listings.
Tell me more.
The article is very well written. It's got some valid points to it about working with expireds. And look, expireds, if they're not your main system, they should at least be part of it. And I'll give you like my example. As an agent, I focused a lot on the city of Decatur area. I was not a big expired listing, but I called every expired listing in Decatur because I had a script for that. I noticed you tried to sell your house in Decatur. I actually specialize in selling houses in Decatur. I'm curious why you think your house didn't sell.
Yeah.
Right. So it can be an area. I do not think that's the number one opportunity for listings in the Atlanta market in 2023. Right. I think your PCSOI is going to be your strongest place because people who are going to be transacting are going to need to move. And they're probably going to be people that you already know. So I think this is an opportunity. I think for the Atlanta market, I don't think it's the number one opportunity. What do you think?
No, I don't necessarily think it's the number one opportunity, but you know, Keller Williams partnered with this 72 sold, and
Yep.
I don't need to give too far of an opinion around it at the moment. Yet for $72 a month, you get access to all the marketing material. So at minimum, what if you mailed the 72 sold material to the expired listings in your area?
Yeah.
And use the MOFR, the make offer for immediate response of that 72 sold program to go after listings. I think it would be really good.
No, that's the key. What this is a conversation starter. And that's really what we need to be focused on is how do we start conversations with people who want to buy, sell, or invest in real estate?
Yep.
Right. So obviously an expired listing, I would probably, if you haven't gotten certified by Keller Offers yet, send them, tell them, hey, would you like to see what Keller Williams buy your house for today without relisting it? Like there's a call to action. And then leaning into people that you know and having conversations with them about what's happening in their world and who do they know that's going to be moving this year.
100%.
You know,
the experienced agents are shifting to this quickly. And if and our agents that haven't been in the industry for more than probably 4 or 5 years, expired listings was never a part of your strategy. There weren't any.
Right.
So maybe it's a coaching session or an opportunity with your team leader or a coach or anybody that mentors you around, hey, can we just dabble in this? Well, tell me what an expired campaign looks like.
Yeah. I mean, this was obviously a huge market back when inventory was high.
Yeah.
And when things were coming on the market. And look, what his great point is, these are people who've proven they want to sell their house. They've proven they prefer to work with a realtor. It just doesn't work. And I read it and I was reminded of one of my favorite lines that one of my sort of real estate idols when I started this business, who's retired now, Emily Market with Remax, told me one time. She said, you want to be the first lover, the second spouse, and the third realtor, right? Because by the time they get to you after they've expired, they're ready to sell, and obviously they're willing to listen about why their house didn't sell, right? So you may be able to have a little bit more influence on that.
Yeah, keep it PG on here, Sean. Come on. All right.
First child, second spouse.
There you go. All right. So anyway, the other thing I wanted to point out on this article is there's a company on here they mentioned called Keeping Current Matters.
Yeah.
And Luke Benton has gotten us a 20% discount for anybody that wants to engage in Keeping Current Matters. And their content, if you're looking for content for social media, for blogging, for websites, for whatever, there's not too many companies out there in the real estate space that put together better content, in my opinion. So you certainly should reach out and we can get you in on it's a group package. So you got to be a part of our group. But this is a big thing for the future.
They do a great job. And Luke has been doing a great job with all of our office websites and Facebook pages of posting Keeping Current Matters. And you can take that and repurpose it. And the key would be for me on my Facebook page, would you take what Luke posted and then shoot a 90-second video explaining what that truly means, or writing a quick blurb about, hey, this is what this really means for you guys. But the content's there. It's all about starting conversations, Brett. It's all about being in conversation with enough people until you find someone who wants to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. It's never going to change.
100%. And if nothing else, third-party validation, here he is featured in an article on Inman. So it's pretty.
And he's actually the one, there's that link is an interview with David Childers, who started Keeping Current Matters.
This is David. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Keller Williams president Mark King on how to thrive in a downturn. You know, why do we hate the word downturn? Why do we hate the word shift? Is because I think it just means like, ooh, are you supposed to make less money? Are you supposed to struggle? And they come across with some kind of negative connotation. Yet I was reminded recently, actually, it was yesterday, I was watching that stupid football game because my team wasn't in it. And they were talking about the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. His persona is around being the underdog. And the city of Philadelphia was around the persona of being an underdog. And if you think about it, if you're a competitor and you take on the persona of being an underdog, this is your game time, right? Like this is how you find the opportunity to go win in what they call a downturn or a slowdown or whatever. Because you're going to go thrive when everybody else is not, if that makes sense. Yeah. So I think it's kind of interesting to talk about just in those terms. But Sean, give me the summary real quick, then let's talk through it.
Yeah, well, I mean, to me, first of all, I look forward to the downturn, quote downturn. I'm not scared of it at all, and I don't think any successful agent should be, because what we're doing is we're moving from an order-taking market to a skills-based market, and great agents are going to stand out in that market. And look what happened last time we had a downturn in Atlanta. I mean, as an organization, Keller Williams grew, and our agents, you know, we're outperforming the market. So this is a good thing for us. But what it is it's an opportunity to double down on tried and true things. Like number one rule of lead generation: set up a database, feed it daily, and systematically market to it. That is never going to go away. And so, you know, what Gary's done is validated this. Gary's done research that shows 201 people in your database on an active touch plan with valid information, meaning if I want to write you, I know how to write you. If I want to call you, I know how to call you. If I want to text you, I know how to text you. If I want to email you, I know how to email you. That's the magic number to make over $100,000 in this business.
What do you mean?
If you have 201 people in command on a touch plan, there you go. Look at the break point and look what happens as those numbers go up. What we need to do is re-engage. And I would say, like, when was the last time you really went through your database, cleaned it out, and called everybody and had a conversation with them? Right. And I think Mark, maybe even in that article, does he talk about the Ford method? Right? Family, occupation, recreation, dreams. So you're not calling just, hey, do you want to buy chicken? Do you want to buy chicken? Do you want to buy chicken? You're calling and engaging with people. Brett, I've been thinking about you. I can't believe it's been 2 years since you bought your house. How is everything? Is the house still meeting your needs? How's the family, right? And then if you're using command, when you're making these calls, if you're strategic about it, you're going in and you're putting notes, right? And I'm going to make a note. Hey, Brett's upset because Dallas Cowboys got knocked out of the playoffs. And next time I call you in the spring, I'm going to go, hey, Brett, what do you think about the Cowboys next year? You think they signed, they cut Dak Prescott? How does that make you feel? I've got a reservoir of notes, right?
You're winning.
And so what's that?
Maybe there's notes of what not to say too,
Right. Whatever.
All right.
But like we just got a puppy. We just had a baby. We're thinking about moving, changing jobs. Those are things you want to remember next time you make that call.
100%.
And it takes 30 seconds to go in and throw a note in when you talk to somebody.
All right. Mark King's advice is get out of debt. Why he puts this first is if you have to service a lot of debt, it keeps you from being able to maneuver in a market. So what happens for real estate agents is if they're carrying a lot of debt, what's the first thing they cut out doing is their lead generation. They stop spending money on marketing, and it actually creates this exponential downward spiral, because if they weren't in debt to begin with, they wouldn't have made the decision to cut out the lead generation, which causes them to go backwards. So one of the tricks is the faster you can get out of debt, the faster you can thrive in a real estate market. Obviously, build a budget. Is this really a thriving downturn thing? Probably not. It's an all the time thing. Yet we tend to get loose with our finances in times of abundance. The credit card comes out too easy. The Amazon purchases happen too fast. All that stuff, right? So how do we be responsible around money? And then building passive income. The more passive income you can find, whether it's through rental properties or our profit share system or something along those lines, the less or the more pressure it will alleviate on you and your pocketbook. And then he put stop and look. Ultimate advice for thriving in downturn: slow down and evaluate. Where everybody else is panicking, running the other way. He also pointed out that during the last downturn, Keller Williams grew. So his point was that hardworking and smart agents can build their business during the present, even if the market itself is slowing. So back to the underdog comment I made, it's about smart and hardworking agents will win if they just plug in and listen to what we're telling them to do. It's a game of fundamentals and consistency.
Mhm.
What would you add?
Well, I think what I would add is, when was the last time you looked at your fundamentals, right? What is, like, are you, I would get very intimate with your database. Like, make sure you have it set up and make sure you have it marketing to people. I would have actual, now I'm old school. I've been told this by a few people, like, I would actually have phone calls and conversations with people and call and check on them. I put the Ford acronym in there. It's just something to keep in your head. I tried to, oh, I didn't put it on the whole chat page. Let me redo it. I'll throw it in there.
You keep talking.
That's a good way to, to drive those conversations. As you talk about their family, their occupations, their recreational things, their dreams, the conversation will always turn around and they will say, what are you up to these days? Right. And that's your opportunity to have a conversation about real estate and what you're working on right there.
100%.
I think that it's that financially, if you don't have a cash flow system, and by that what I mean is, I'm getting a $10,000 commission check, or I'm getting a $50 check, or I'm getting a $100 check. Where does every penny of that go? Right? What percentage are you putting aside for your taxes? What percentage are you putting aside for your investments? What percentage are you putting aside, for your reserve account, that if something does go bad? So if you have a slow month, you don't have to stop your marketing. Nobody's two plans are going to work the same, right? And those plans change over time. I used to have an education account where a percentage went to my kids' education. Well, they're out of educational phase at this point in their life. So I made that a travel account, right? So now if Tammy and I are going to take a trip, I have to have the money in the travel account before I can book that trip, right? But getting disciplined with your finances. And then I love the analogy that Jordan Freed gave us when he was here, which was to get crunk with your finances, right? Which stood for, what can I cut? So when I looked at my Amex bill, I have a Spotify account. I have a Pandora account. I have a Hulu account. I have a Apple Music account. I have like all these music accounts that really do the exact same thing that are all $10 to $17, right? I've got these Microsoft recurring charges that I think it's from a laptop I bought 3 years ago that came with a Microsoft recurring service that I've never used. And when I look at it, like it's only $9.99. I get my Apple, Apple News. Do I really need $9.99 a month for Apple News? Like, I'm pretty sure I can Google the news and find out what's out there. So go through, find out what you can cut. The R in it stands for what can you renegotiate, right? What are the services? I promise you, if you call it
K is keep.
K is keep, right? What is it you have to keep?
Yeah.
I started at the back. K is keep. It's my bills. It's my utility. It's my mortgage. Can't get rid of that. R is renegotiate, right? So if I called Xfinity and told them I was canceling my cable, I promise you they'll offer me a better deal to stay, right? What are those other services? Who are the vendors you've worked with forever that maybe you can call and renegotiate? Maybe it's time to reevaluate. Is there an upgrade for the same price, or is there someone who does it more efficiently now? So that's renegotiate. Help me with O. Remind me O.
I think it's omit.
Omit. N is I gotta go back to my notes in it, Brett. What did I tell you about? We were just talking to one of my agents.
You're the one that brought it up.
I know. What's that?
It was an need.
Need. Yeah. Do I really need it? Do I really need to keep it? Right. It's the old red light, green light is what we used to call it.
No, negotiate. It was negotiate.
And it's definitely negotiate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Replace. R is replace. What can I replace with a better service?
Killing me. Keep, replace.
Keep. Replace. Negotiate. And then C is cut.
What's the O? All right, we're gonna leave it there. You can,
Don't get tied up in the acronym. Get tied up in the process. Get tied up in the looking at your bill, right? Everything that's on there, is it something that is valid? Because if you're not spending money, you don't need to make as much. The other place I would look to, I would calculate what's your average commission right now. And are you giving away commissions? Are you doing things at an average of 2.5% instead of 3%? Because that's the number one way to increase the money that you keep without having to sell more houses.
right.
And maybe if you give a half point discount for repeat customers, maybe you make that a quarter point discount. Right? Or maybe you wait till they ask.
Cool. All right, sir, give me your takeaway. What do we need to be thinking about as the market moves into February here?
What do you need? I'll be asking the questions. What do I need to do different than I have been doing? And how engaged am I with my database? I would
I think
double
it's
down
a
now.
201.
While people are thinking about listing their house is when you want to have this conversation. Not when you found out they just listed it with somebody else.
Yeah, I have to be transparent and say my neighbor has a sign of a different real estate company in their front yard, and I'm going, what conversation did I not have?
Yeah.
And the truth is doesn't that happen to all of us? We should all be better. One, and two, I do think what I call the 201 club is probably the most important conversation. If we simplified our lives down to one conversation, that would be the conversation, is how do we clean up the database, make sure everybody, whether they're a buyer's agent on a team, a lead agent on a team, an individual agent in our office, an agent that only wants to do referral business, everybody should have 201 people in their database, because that's what makes this whole thing thrive. So we'll leave it there. That's your industry update. The spring market's building. Have a good one.
See you, Brett.